So that's it, our introduction video for eating disorder. So today, our topic is about eating disorder. So we will be discussing about eating disorder. Without further ado, I would like to call Miss Ain Zahin Fariza binti Muhammad Nazir. Uh, so that is our introduction video. So today we'll be discussing about eating disorder. Without further ado, I would like to call Miss Ain Zahin Fariza binti Muhammad Nazir as our moderator today. Please welcome Miss Ain Zahin.
Thank you, Anis Amira. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. I am Miss Ain Zahin, moderator for today. Before we start our talk, I would like to introduce our speaker biodata to everyone, which we got while doing research. We could address her as Miss Sharifah Hasanah. She is a graduate of Bachelor of Science Dietetics with Nutrition with Honours from Medical University. She is currently a freelance dietitian under the name of Dietitian Hasanah. She mainly shares content on her social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, and website. Dietitian Hasanah has served over 100 plus clients in the last year and has been able to help all clients improve in their health and well-being. Her passion lies within inventing the concept of healthy eating in the management of various diseases and conditions. That is just a summary of her biodata. Now, I am very honored to invite Ms. Harifah Sana, our speaker, to continue this event. With all due respect, welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation today, Ms. Ain, and thank you for the warm introduction. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharifah Hasanah. Commonly, you can actually call me as Dietitian Hasanah. So today I'll be doing a quick workshop. I hope you guys don't think of it as a lecture. I hope it's a two-way interaction between us. So I will have slides that have some question marks on them. So I would like it if you guys could, I know this is not Zoom, this is Google Meet, but I would like it if you guys could type in the chat as well. I'd really appreciate it. Okay. All right. So let me just share my screen now. All right. I hope you guys can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Yes. All right. Okay. So I'm going to assume that you are able to see my screen. Good morning and Assalamualaikum. Today I'll be sharing about healthy eating and eating disorders. I know that the focus is mainly on eating disorders, but I thought I'd talk a little bit more about healthy eating as well, just so that we understand a bit better the difference between what is an eating disorder, or how do you get out of an eating disorder, or do you really have an eating disorder? So I just wanted to debunk some myths as well. All right. So the first question I have for everyone, and I hope you guys could type it in the chat, is: have any of you tried to go on a diet before? Please, please don't be shy. Please just let me know.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So it could be diets. There's so many types of diets out there, right? There's these fat diets. We call them, like Atkins, keto, paleo. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but these are some of the famous ones that I get when my clients come in and talk to me about the diets that they've tried. Essentially, the idea is that the diet that you may want to go on, for some people, maybe if it's guys, for muscle building, you want to be, with six packs, and you want to be muscly and all very handsome. For girls, some of them may want to gain weight, while some of them may actually want to lose weight. So depending on that, you may have tried a diet. Okay, so let's move on to my next question. Have you ever restricted a specific type of food or food group in your diet? So that means maybe some diets tell you that you cannot eat any carbohydrates, or some diets tell you that you cannot have any sugar. Some diets, say that you cannot eat a specific type of food, like you cannot eat apples at all or red foods at all.
Yes.
Yes. Others? Yeah.
Some says that you cannot eat rice on diet.
Yes, exactly. That's the most common one, kan? Especially we are in Malaysia where rice is our staple, and then they tell us we cannot eat rice. Macam mana tu? All right, okay. So my next question is, have you ever told yourself or your friend that they should go on a diet?
I told myself to go to diet.
Mostly my sister asked me to diet lah.
Exactly. So, all of these things, like even a simple thing that people just say to go on a diet, it may come off as, I don't know, you guys reflect. How do you feel when you tell yourself to go on a diet, or when somebody tells you to go on a diet? Do you feel happy? Yay, somebody told me to go on a diet. Or do you feel sad when somebody says you should go on a diet? How do you feel?
I feel sad because
Sometimes sad.
I feel like myself is fat.
Yeah. So that's what I hope we could talk a little bit more about, and from my experience as well as a dietitian, that I could share with all of you. So maybe I could touch a little bit about the concept of dieting, where it evolved from. The concept of dieting is actually built around obtaining an ideal body type, commonly termed as a healthy looking body. So everybody's like, oh, you have to go on a diet so that you look beautiful, you look healthy. But what exactly is this, healthy looking body? And it revolves around adopting a specific type of eating pattern that is assumed to achieve your health goal. So, for example, if you go on a diet, you would be able to, I don't know, feel better, or you're supposed to, there's this idealized version that you are going to just be this amazing person if you go on this diet. And actually, most of it is all because of what society has put as a standard. And it's based on the idea that you have to cut things out, you have to restrict, you have to decrease, you have to remove. It's all the negative words. If you hear me talk about it, it's all the, removing, cutting, deleting, restricting, all negative. But when you talk to me, for example, as a dietitian, or my friends as well, when we're talking to our clients, they get very shocked because what we use in our terms of when we talk is all positive. Why don't you add on this? Why don't you swap it for this? So this actually removes the perception here from negative words and the concept of dieting to actually adopting a real healthy dietary pattern. Okay. All right. Okay. So the question is, what exactly is a healthy eating pattern, and what is a healthy health goal? If, I told you that people telling you to go on a diet is a bad thing. I told you that, restricting things are a bad thing, not necessarily what you want to do, right? So what exactly is healthy then? How do you know what is healthy? So the first part, the myth that a lot of people would say is that healthy is how you look on the outside. It's your external appearances. But as you can see in this picture, right, there are people that are short, there are people that are tall, there are people that have broader shoulders, there are people that have smaller shoulders. Some people have a tendency for bigger belly, bigger thighs. Some people have a tendency for bigger shoulders. Everybody is built differently. And that's not supposed to be a negative. That is supposed to be something unique to you, You were created to be that way. You are unique. It should be a positive, not like, oh my God, I'm different than everybody else and it's a bad thing. No. If you were to reflect on some celebrities and all that, although, the Hollywood celebrities or even our Malaysian celebrities, when we talk about celebrities, it's an idealized version of how they're supposed to look. But if you really look closely, each and every single one of them rose up because they were unique. They were different than another person. It's not like they're all carbon copy paste orang yang sama, betul tak? So the fact is that your health goes beyond external appearance. What matters is dependent on your overall well-being. So when I mean this, right, actually when we want to measure health, we are looking inside your body, how everything inside your body looks like. Sometimes a lot of people, are you guys familiar with the term BMI? Yes, all right. So BMI is usually something that everybody talks about, and they calculate their BMI. Oh, my BMI is on this higher end, my BMI is on the lower end, or it's too much or it's too low. But actually the BMI may not be the most accurate thing, and this is coming from a dietitian. Okay, it may not be the most accurate thing to measure your health. Why? Because if you are built differently, for example, if you are a bodybuilder, their weight is a lot, but from their weight is actually from muscles. It's not from fat. So even though their BMI, some of my clients who are muscle builders, their BMI is 27, 28, but actually in reality, their health is fine because their body weight is mainly made of muscles. So what I want to clear here is that your body is much more than how you look like on the outside. It's actually how you feel and what is going on the inside. Because at the end of the day, if let's say you look great to this group of people, by the time you move on to a different place, they may not necessarily think, that this is the best way that you could look. I don't know if you guys have seen before, but they have done numerous studies actually on the ideal beauty standards according to different countries. So, for example, if for me in Malaysia, I feel like I'm not so pretty. I'm too fat, or I'm not tall enough, and so on. If I actually go to another country, for example, if I go to, I don't know, a Middle Eastern country, they may actually look at me as like, oh, that's our ideal body type. So similarly, with all of you, actually, you have to be able to understand that your external appearances are not something that determines what your health goal is. So the next myth that I want to talk about is that when we talk about healthy eating, everybody talks about all green and nothing else. It's like, oh, you have to go on this diet and makan salad, and you have to eat those kind of things. That's what a diet is. Makan sayur, eating vegetables without understanding what actually vegetable does, without understanding, is it really enough for me? So is it really true that you're supposed to just be on all green, especially if you are from, in the US, it's so common that everybody there orders salad. Salad to them is kind of like nasi to us or roti to us, So to them, it makes sense that when they go on their diet, they eat a salad because it's easily available for them. And there's so many types of salad that you can get there. But in Malaysia, if you go and order a salad, it's not really the easiest thing to find, first of all. Second of all, it depends where you're going. If you're going to like these fast food restaurants, they may not necessarily have salads. If you go to like Western-based shops, they may have salad. If you go to kedai nasi campur, they don't have salads. They have sayur, like ulam and all that, but they don't have salads, So how do you actually know, is it really that to be healthy, you need to only eat vegetables? The answer is actually no. Yes, exactly. So it is that you have to be on a balanced diet. So it's meant to be with a good distribution of your cereals and grains, your meats and fish, your fruits and vegetables, all because you cannot have one without the other. For example, if I talk about all the goodness of carbohydrates and all the goodness of nasi, I could do that. I could do a whole lecture, 1 hour, telling you about the amazing things about nasi. So it doesn't mean that you're just supposed to eat rice. It means that you're still supposed to comprise a meal out of everything: rice, fish and meat, vegetables, and so on, because all of this together is what makes it important. All right. So healthy eating is commonly termed as balance, variety, and moderate. This is the ideal way of actually achieving a healthy diet. So balance here meaning that you are actually able to eat as much as you use. So for example, every day you do activities. But if you're not eating enough to meet this, activities that you're using, the calories that you're using, the energy that you're using, you won't be able to do, things as basic as talking. You won't be able to walk to class or anything because you're not eating enough. Similarly, if you're eating too much, then you're eating too much, but you're not actually using that much energy. So as you can see, the balance here, it would tip. That's why it's important that you actually find the balance in between. Variety. So when I talk about variety, a lot of people think that, macam tadi I said, that a lot of people think it's just one thing that is good. If it's good, then it's good. If it's bad, then it's bad. They categorize, oh, chocolate is bad. McDonald's is bad. Sayur is good. Nasi is bad. They categorize food into bad and good. But why would you do that? Why would you put food as a good and bad thing? When you talk about food, there's so many things about them. Yes, they may not necessarily be the healthiest one, but they may still have things that are important in them. So similarly, when you're eating food, right? If you're trying to go on a healthy diet, for example, some people that I know try to eat every day makan oats because they heard that oats is good, right? So they eat oats every day. But there's no point in that because you're not having a variety. Variety here brings all the different vitamins, all the different minerals, because each type of food is unique. Just like each type of human being is unique. And the third one is the important part, which is moderate. We tend to sometimes overindulge if we like something. For example, I like sambal udang. So I can eat my sambal udang, banyak udang I can eat. But then that goes beyond the purpose, right? Because it's just because I like it, I'm eating too much of it. Then I feel bad afterwards. We don't want that. I like it, I can eat it. It's just that I have to be able to understand that I have to eat it in moderation. I'm still giving in to my cravings, but I'm not going overboard and like eating sampai dah tak dapat rasa dan benda lain. You know, so the idea here is that when you're adopting healthy eating, you want to have a balance, a variety, and a moderate component. Okay, so where does eating disorder come into place here? Eating disorder, as I'm sure you guys have seen if you guys were there on the call earlier, like I was in the video that you guys made. So eating disorders are actually behavioral conditions characterized by severe and persistent disturbance in eating behaviors and associated distressing thoughts and emotion. So the idea beyond eating disorders is that you feel that whatever you're eating is contributing to a certain aspect that may not necessarily be true. You're convincing yourself about something that may not be true. You're overthinking, you're overanalyzing things. So for example, you look at food and you look at food as the enemy. Food is bad because food is going to make you gain weight. But that's not true. Food has a lot of other things that it can do for you, but you focused on that one particular thing. So for people that are struggling with eating disorders, what's going on is that they are battling with their own thoughts. They are, I would say, their own enemy because they feel that, you know, they are never good enough. So that's why eating disorders is something that is very, very serious. And that's why when I want to talk about eating disorders, I try my best to always use words that can actually tell you that please understand that you are unique. Your body requirements are not same as your friend's body requirements. Please don't overanalyze your food. Please understand your own body. So I'll touch about understanding your own body in a bit. So eating disorders here has, three types. So the first type is anorexia. Second type is bulimia. And third type is binge eating. So anorexia and bulimia are the more serious ones because they are more related towards, they are more related to the mental health state that you are obsessed about your body's weight, your body's outer appearance, and so on. So touching about anorexia here, when people have anorexia, they suffer from being concerned about their body weight. They try to restrict what they're eating. They refuse to maintain a healthy body weight. So for example, if we were to use the BMI here, right? They feel that even though they're at the 18.5 is the lowest for a normal BMI, right? So they feel that even if they're the 18.5, they are too fat. They look in the mirror and they don't recognize themselves. So they just cut out all foods. They feel like they don't want to eat anymore because they need to go down and they have their own goal weight that may not necessarily be realistic because they have the fear of becoming overweight. Okay, second type is bulimia. With bulimia, they have a lack of self-control over, the urges to overeat or overindulge. When they see a certain type of food, they want to eat because they're under a lot of stress. So they try to eat. But then after they eat, they feel horrible about it. So they purge. So this is when you try to vomit out or you try to compensate for the fact that you ate too much. But they may not have actually ate too much. It is just in their mind that they feel that, oh, I have eaten too much. And it is same. Anorexia and bulimia have the same common thing that their fear is that they will become overweight. The main difference is that with anorexia, they completely cut out food. But with bulimia, they actually still have food. It's just that they remove it out again afterwards. And the third type is actually quite common amongst a lot of people, which is binge eating. So binge eating is actually a lack of control over your urges to overeat and overindulge. So that means if you see something like I used my example about sambal udang, I like it, so I eat too much of it. Then I feel really stressed, like, oh my God, why did I eat too much of it? It's not good and everything. I don't vomit it out again, but I constantly battle with myself every day, like, oh my God, this is why, you're overweight. This is why you're like this is why you're like that. I'm becoming my own enemy. At the end of the day, eating disorders are something that are so serious and it's beyond just your food. It's also about your mental health state. And there's so many numerous factors that can contribute to you actually having an eating disorder. It could be because of other things besides food. Maybe you don't actually look at food as a bad thing, but maybe you feel so stressed with school that you feel like, I'm not going to eat. I have no time to eat and so on. And then it kind of, after that, it cultivates to become an eating disorder. It could be because your friends are all a certain way and you feel that you need to fit in, you need to look that same way. It could be because your friends are telling you like, kau ni gemuk lah, kau ni macam ni lah, kenapa muka kau jerawat, kau pergilah diet, ni semua. So things like this are all triggering factors that could be causing eating disorders. But at the end of the day, the importance when it comes to managing or tackling eating disorders is for you to understand what is healthy. Am I being healthy? What is the purpose of me doing this? But obviously, it's not as simple as that. That is why, as in your video, when you have an eating disorder or when you feel that you may be you have the tendency of going towards having an eating disorder, it's important that you take the first action step and consult someone. It doesn't have to be somebody very, big or anything. It could be just one person at least. Take that first step and tell that person, oh, I'm struggling with this. Make sure you can trust that person. So for example, if you seek professional help, that would be the best. If you could seek a doctor's help, a psychologist's help, a dietitian help, because all of these healthcare professionals, they will come in and they will help you and they will reassure you. Unlike your friends that may not necessarily have the background about health, how body functions work, these healthcare professionals have all of this. They have the knowledge. So your friends may think that you are fat, but maybe to a doctor, they can explain to you what's actually going on in your body. So this is where it's important that you actually talk to a very good person, to a very important person, particularly a healthcare professional, so that they could seek the right kind of help for you, so that they could give you the best advice. All right? So when you have an eating disorder, or when you know somebody that have an eating disorder, or maybe if you have a tendency towards having an eating disorder, what should be done? We have to redefine the idea of healthy. And this starts from the very beginning. This starts from not just, yourself. Because if you are having these thoughts in yourself, it may not be that easy. It may not be that easy to tell yourself like, oh, food is fine. Oh, I won't gain weight. Or I can eat chocolate. It doesn't work like that. So you need to be able to have a community, and it all starts from one person, If one person could help to redefine the idea of what healthy eating is, if one person could help redefine the idea of what a healthy looking person is, then that is where we are able to make better steps of action towards combating eating disorders. If I were to talk about eating disorders, I don't really have the statistics in Malaysia, because there's a lot of people that have eating disorders in Malaysia that are still closeted, that are too afraid to seek for help, that are still, scared about what society may think. But in the US itself, there's millions and millions of cases per year. There's over 20 millions of cases per year in the US of eating disorders. And we don't want that. You never know in your friend group who might have an eating disorder. That's why it starts from you to actually be able to understand that even making small, sly jokes is not that, it's not that, macam, oh, I just make a small joke, kenapa dia nak terasa hati? No. Even that small thing could bring a deeper meaning. So it's important that you redefine the idea of health. Okay? So how do you redefine the idea of health? And what is the strategies to tackle? The first thing is that you have to understand why eating is a basic need. If you've ever learned, or if you remember, I'm pretty sure in school you learn the Maslow's hierarchy of need, where in the bottom of the pyramid, it is eating. The basic needs of every human being is eating. But sometimes we forget, because we are growing up. We live in the world of social media. We're looking at all these Kardashians, and we're looking at all these, people that are creating idealistic beauty standards that don't exist. So it's important that you go back and you understand why eating is essential and what happens when you don't eat. It's also important that you understand your body's cues. You might ask me like, oh, sometimes I'm craving all the time. So does it mean I'm supposed to eat all the time? Is that what you're trying to tell me? No, you have to be able to understand your body's cues. I'm not telling you that you won't be, you won't be craving for not the healthiest things. So for example, like McDonald's and things like that. But you have to be able to differentiate between hunger, between tired, between bored. Sometimes you're bored and you're like, okay, jom makan. And then afterwards you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad that I ate. This is where it starts. It starts with, the smallest thing can start an eating disorder, and we don't want to cultivate that. That's why we have to be able to understand our body's cues. And third is understand how a nutritious and filling meal is meant to look like. If you don't understand how much, or is this really normal? Am I really supposed to eat this? Am I allowed to eat this? Am I not allowed to eat this? It will be difficult for you to be able to understand whether you are, if you are on a healthy eating diet, or, you're on just another diet. So onto that, I want to talk first about understanding why it is essential and what happens when you don't eat. This is a very big concept actually, and I'm trying to actually bring it to a very small scale for you guys. I usually do a 1 hour lecture on this one particular slide only, explaining why you need to eat. Food is a basic source of energy. You don't just eat food because it tastes nice. That's not the purpose of food. I mean, although yes, the quality of life factors are amazing, but food is a source of energy. That's why you have to eat it. And your body requires food and energy for daily activities. And it's as simple as breathing, eating, walking, sleeping, talking, laughing. All these basic needs, you need to eat food that will convert into energy that will give you the ability to do all of this. If you're not eating enough, what happens is you will have a lack of energy. So externally or some ways, you may feel that you're always tired. Your mood is disturbed. You have a lack of ability to enjoy and do activities. So for example, you had a packed day of classes, let's say. You didn't have breakfast because you were rushing to an 8 a.m. class. And then your lunchtime was only 45 minutes and you had to go pray and come back. And then you just kind of just ate something very quick, like a gardenia bread, for example. And then you go on with your classes until 5:36. And then by 7 p.m., you want to go back to your dorm or back to your hostel. And then if your friend stops you on the way, like, hey, Joe, you will be so irritated. You will be so tired. You don't want to lie at your friends. You don't want to talk. And that is as simple as just a 1 day, 1 day example. But what happens is that is an external, what you can see and what your friends could realize. But what's actually going on inside your body when you're not having enough food is that your body is going into panic mode. It's like, alamak, because you think that you don't need food doesn't mean your body knows that it doesn't need food. Your body still needs to work. You still want to walk. You still want to talk. So your body is still trying to be able to cater to you. So it goes into this crazy panic mode. It's like, where do I look for energy? Where do I look for energy? So it looks for alternative ways to get energy. And it may not necessarily be the best thing, because what it might do is that it may break down your muscles to give you the energy. And you need muscles to do basic things. If at one point you may lose the ability to move your hands and so on, because there's no more energy going towards there. Energy is being broken down. Your muscles are being broken down to give you energy. You may lose, the ability to do many things. And that will cause a lot of numerous other side effects. That's why in the first few days, you may see that it's just, you don't have the energy, you're just tired, you're just thirsty. But over a period of time, you'll see that, for girls, you'll have missed periods. You won't have a regular period. And I'm telling you, if it has already started, it'll be very difficult to get back on the right track to bring your periods back, because you've started it and your body's already in a panic mode. For example, if I like to explain it like this. If you see a toddler that is crying, that is screaming and shouting, you see the damage that they do outside, right? They campak benda, they pecahkan ni, they selerakkan ni, everything is a mess. So imagine that's what's going on in your body when you don't give it food. It's going into panic mode and it's like hitting everything and shouting and screaming inside. So everything in your body is hurting. It is inflamed. It is not in the best way. So that's why one of the things is that you get to miss your period. You may actually have stunted growth. You may have reduced immunity. So people that are not eating enough, you have a tendency to actually get sick more frequently. The idea here is that I'm not trying to I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to tell you that there are ways to actually adopt a healthy diet. It's okay if your goal is to lose weight. You have to actually be able to understand what is the right way to do it. And understanding that if you cut food simply or you cut certain food groups is not going to be able to help you achieve that goal. Because truth is, if you cut out food, yes, you get all of these symptoms. And then most likely after 2 weeks, you're just going to go back to your normal diet and you may binge eat as a revenge, like, oh, I was eating healthy for 2 weeks. Now I binge eat and I eat, McDonald's for the whole next 2 weeks, every single day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It could also mean that, you're not giving your body you think on the outside is losing weight, it looks healthy, but on the inside, it is not healthy. You may think that because you look skinnier on the outside, or because you look more of the ideal body type, you are actually prolonging your life. But that's not true. If you're causing more damage inside, something that you can't see, you may be shortening your lifespan. And we don't want that. So it's important that you understand first that eating is important. It's just about learning how much you're supposed to eat, learning about how frequent you're supposed to eat, learning about the types of food that you're meant to eat. Which brings me to my second point, understanding your body's cues. So I think this is very much a collaboration between a mental health aspect of eating and the diet part of eating. You have to be able to understand whether your body is actually hungry, whether you are actually just craving for things because you're seeing it. Are you tired? Are you bored? Are you thirsty? All of these things, sometimes you may perceive it in your brain as I need to eat. Sometimes you're tired and your go-to mode is that I have to eat. Or sometimes you're thirsty. But actually the way the way you perceive it is that, oh, I need to eat instead of I need to drink. Sometimes you're craving things because it's just there. So you need to first be able to pull yourself back, ask yourself, okay, how do I feel now? What is actually going on? Assess yourself. Even for me as a dietitian, when I talk to my client, I can't tell you like, oh, you're thirsty, that's why you're eating more. No, you have to be able to tell yourself, oh, maybe today I didn't drink enough water. Am I really hungry, or am I actually thirsty? And is my brain perceiving it as something that I want to just eat to solve this issue? You have to understand and be in tune with your body. Next, you have to understand how a nutritious and filling meal is meant to look like. If you've gone to a government hospital before, you will see the suku separuh plate. Have you guys ever seen a suku separuh plate?
Yes.
So a suku separuh plate generally looks like this. And the idea of it is that sometimes I think the suku separuh plate is a good idea because it helps you understand that that's how you're supposed to divide food. But sometimes with some of my clients, their suku separuh is, walaupun the nasi is suku, nasi dia timbun suku. Jadi sayur dia sikit je. Like one lettuce kan, panjangkan lettuce tu dah separuh dah. So it's important that you know actually how much and how do you actually compose your meal together. And I want to actually share with you one of the things about why all these dietitians, all these nutritionists, these doctors all talk about eating vegetables and eating fruits. Yes, fruits and vegetables have vitamins and minerals in them. And those vitamins and minerals, obviously, yeah, they're good for your teeth, for your eyes, for immunity. There's a lot of things that they're good about. But one thing that you didn't know about is that if you're not having enough fruits and vegetables, that could be a sign that's leading you to have cravings. If let's say that day you are craving a lot of like sweet things, or craving sudden things, suddenly you're craving a lot of things, go back and assess whether you are actually, whether you had enough fruits and vegetables, because your vitamins and minerals from your fruits and vegetables can actually be a reason that if you're not having enough, could actually cause you to have cravings. So go back and think about that. But other than that, another thing about fruits and vegetables is that they have fiber. They have serat. So some of you, I think all of you, everybody that I know actually, when I talk to them, what is fiber for? Oh, for you to go to the toilet, for you to poop. Actually, it does a lot more than that. Fiber you can imagine it like this. And this is something that you could share with your parents if any of your parents actually have diabetes, right? Which is quite common in Malaysia. What they do is that what you can imagine is during PKP ni ada roadblock banyak, betul tak? I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with how roadblocks work. If there is a roadblock, there is traffic jam, so it's slower. Imagine a road, let's say a highway, that has no roadblocks. 100 cars pass by, 100 cars pass by juga. Sebelah kanan, sebelah kiri sama je lah. They will pass by at the same speed. But if there is a roadblock in between, the difference is that 100 cars pass by here, 100 will come out as well there, but at a slower speed. Satu demi satu demi satu, betul tak? Sebab roadblock tu kan? So when it comes to eating, when you have fruits and vegetables, the idea is that they are the roadblock and they will give you the energy at a slower and steady pace. So if you're eating food, you can try it out. You can do an experiment. If you're eating food for a whole week, and you're not having any fruits and vegetables, no fiber there, you will feel hungry within the first 2 hours. After 2 hours, you'll be hungry again. But if you have fruits and vegetables, there'll be a roadblock there. So your energy is given to you slowly and steadily. So you won't feel hungry that easily. With people with diabetes, why this is so important is because the blood sugar levels for them would actually go down slowly. It won't be high suddenly because they have this roadblock. So the blood sugar will be steady throughout. So it's so important that you understand vegetables and fruits. It's not just because we know you hate them, that's why we want you to eat them. No, we want you to eat them because they have so many benefits, which is why half of your plate has to be fruits and vegetables. When I talk about quarter of your plate has to be your whole grains or your cereals and grains, this could be things, it's not just nasi. It could be your noodles, it could be your spaghetti, your pasta, it could be your breads, it could be any form of carbohydrates. So in this case, you still have to learn how much of a portion size of carbohydrate that you can take. Even though suku is just a general guideline, but suku could be 1 sendok nasi, it could be 2 sendok nasi, it could be 10 sendok nasi. It depends on how you actually portion your plate, right? So a good general guideline is around 3 sendok flat. I don't have my sendok nasi here, but 3 sendok flat of nasi is a good amount of nasi that you want to have there. And when I say flat, it doesn't mean that you tonya nasi dalam tu tau. It's like you ambil, you remove the top. So 3 sendok, which is quite a lot actually when you go out and you think about it, you're actually more cautious about how much you're eating. Obviously, this is general guideline. For my clients, I actually do a specific, and I tell you, like maybe for guys, some of them have more activity, so they may be able to eat 4 sendok, 5 sendok, because they use more energy, right? And maybe for some people, they are smaller body weight, so they may actually only need 2 sendok nasi. All right, so this is just a general guideline. And then a healthy eating protein. So your protein here is so important because your protein is also another thing that keeps you feeling full. Let's say, for example, for sarapan, you eat only your gardenia bread. Your gardenia bread is only the bread and the sweetness inside there. It's all carbohydrates only. It doesn't have any vegetables and fruits. It doesn't have any protein inside. Versus if you make a sandwich, and it could be sandwich with 2 slices of bread, telur, and 1 slice of lettuce lah. If you betul tak suka sayur kan, 1 slice of lettuce at least. This one sandwich can keep you feeling full until lunch. Whereas the gardenia bread, within the next hour between your classes, you will run out and try to look for another food to eat. Why? Because it is not a complete meal. So you need to have some protein in your meals. Preferably, obviously, we will always try to choose for fish because fish actually gives you healthier types of fats inside versus if it's chicken or if it's meat. But this is a whole other topic, you know. But the idea here that I want to tell you is that if you want to eat, you need to be able to understand that you have to have a component of all of this. Your vegetables, your fruits, your carbohydrates, your protein, and yes, your healthy oils. So for example, if you were to masak nasi kan, if you were to masak telur kan, you scrambled eggs or anything like that, you may use a little bit of oil. Tak adalah guna banyak sangat minyak terus deep fry kan your telur, you know. You have to be able to balance in between that. So that's the idea of balance here coming back in. So a lot of the times when I talk about the suku-suku separuh plate, still a lot of people don't understand how they could adopt it. So an example lah kan, for I'm not sure, are you guys doing from home ke? You guys are doing learning from home? Are you guys back in classes or something like that? But the idea here is that I'm trying to say is that if you were to go out and eat, or if you were to be at home and eat, you can construct whatever meal that your mom has cooked, or if you cooked, or the makcik canteen cooked, or something like that, you can construct it to be a healthy meal. You can have your sayur, you can have your ayam or daging or ikan and your nasi. And that makes it a healthy meal. And that will keep you feeling full for a long time. And that will also make sure that you don't have that much cravings afterwards. So if, let's say, the healthy eating plate model didn't really, impress you guys because you already know suku-suku separuh, everybody knows suku-suku separuh. These are 3 other tips that I wanted to share with you guys. First is your meal timings. Meal timings are so important, which is something that nobody actually, really thinks about. But your body has a biological clock. It's not just the clock that you're looking out there, but your body has a biological clock. It knows when you wake up, when you're supposed to eat, when you're supposed to do every single activity. It tries to create that routine. Oh, she sleeps from 12 to 8, she wakes up at 8, she eats at 9, she does this. But if every single day your routine changes, your body is always in adaptation mode, trying to be like, oh, okay, she eats at 8. Oh, okay, the next day she eats at 10. Oh, okay, she eats at 9. Your body won't be able to understand that this is the time that she eats. So with that, if you don't create a routine, what happens? Your digestion may actually be bothered. Why? Because your body doesn't understand when is the time that you're eating. If your body understands what time you're eating, it will know that this is the optimal time for digestion to happen. So it could prevent things as simple as bloating, it could prevent cravings and so on. So create a regular meal timing. It's okay if it's not like, some people create this whole routine out. I see it on Facebook all the time. Kena makan sarapan 7 hingga 8. You have to eat lunch 12 hingga 1. Dinner 6 hingga 7. It's not like that. Find a routine that works for you, that works for your schedule. If you're a student, something that works for you as a student. If you're working, something that works for you if you're working. The idea here is that we want to create a consistent routine every single day. It doesn't have to be a consistent meal. It doesn't have to be every single day makanan yang sama, but it has to be a consistent timing, a consistent routine, so that your body knows, okay, pukul 8, pukul 12, pukul 6, ni waktu makan dia. Jadi this is when I will digest food. This is when I will release all the enzymes, all the digestion will happen and everything. So things as simple as this can help with symptoms such as bloating, symptoms such as craving. It could even help with weight loss. And I kid you not, I have a client that slept daripada pukul 6 pagi sampai pukul 3 petang. That was his sleeping schedule. And he will wake up from 3 p.m. until the 6 a.m. in the morning. That is when he will be up. And he struggled with weight management. After doing, and he wasn't very sure about the portion sizes that I was teaching him. So he told me, okay, he'll try the meal timings. And after he did that, he didn't change portion size, he just changed the meal timings. He saw a significant change in his weight. He also saw a better sleeping pattern. He also saw his energy changed. So the idea that I'm trying to tell you is that if it's difficult for you to make small actions, like to restrict food or to change your portion size and so on, I don't want you to do that. Try to at least start off with creating a routine. Okay? And similarly, if you have, an eating disorder, I want you to take this first step. I'm not asking you to eat more. I'm just asking you to create a routine. Just find something that you can nibble on at consistent timings. And then from there, we will take it and try to increase your portion size. So the second point I have here on this slide is meal composition, which I've touched on earlier, that your meals should comprise of carbohydrate, protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, because that is a complete meal, and a complete meal can keep you feeling fuller longer and minimize cravings. And the last point here is meal portion sizes. You have to actually consume adequate portion sizes of all components. You cannot just buat syarat je sayur, you cannot just buat syarat je daging ke, ayam ke, ikan ke. It has to be adequate portion sizes. But that also doesn't mean that just because you like rice or just because you like noodles, you have way much more. It still has to go back to the idea of moderation. So these are the 3 healthy eating practices that I think is something very simple for any of you to actually adopt, and something that I think could change a lot about how you feel. So before I end, I just wanted to say that to keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we will not be able to keep our mind strong and clear, which is very important for you guys, for our students. All right. And that is all from me. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to connect with me, you could reach out to me via any of these platforms. And if, let's say, in the audience today, any of you have a tendency towards an eating disorder, or you have a concern towards, if you don't have any form of concern towards nutrition and health and well-being, you could always drop me a DM on Instagram or an email or anything at all. I'd be very happy to give you free advice and free consultations. But yeah, please feel free to come in and ask me any questions. I'm always here to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharifah. Ms. Like, we have someone want to ask question. Zira, can you open your mic? Zira?
Okay, I have a question. Is it water fasting is a good diet? Because I have a friend and she's doing water fasting for 3 months, I think, but she eat but a very little one lah. She's doing water fasting and her weight is very dia punya berat dia turun, sangat turun sebab dia buat water fasting. So is it good or not buat water fasting tu?
Okay, that's a good question. So I have a question for you then. How long can you be on a water fast? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years?
I buat juga tapi 3 hari je pasal I dah lapar. Tak boleh.
Bila you lapar, you makan, compensate balik untuk 3 hari tak makan ke?
Tak.
Makan normal balik ke? Macam mana?
I makan
Craving ke?
I makan kalau dah rasa kenyang tu dah lah tu je.
But the idea is that... Sorry?
Tapi tak adalah macam nak cover balik untuk 3 days yang I tak makan tu tak. I just makan.
Okay. So the reason I asked that is because the idea of this water fasting, personally to me, is a very close border towards an eating disorder as well. You know, like developing it, because you are convincing yourself that you don't want to eat. You're avoiding foods in total. Water fasting means that there are lots of types of water fasting, right? So there are people that water fast for a certain number of hours and then they eat for a certain number of hours. There are people that water fast for a number of days and then they eat after that. But the idea is that I want to put out first is how long can you be on a water fast? Is it a lifelong thing that you could do? Or is it that you've lost enough weight, okay, my goal weight is 50 kilos, I dah sampai 50 kilo, I makan balik macam biasalah, tak payah water fast. Is that how it's supposed to be?
No.
Okay, so this is a little bit outside of eating disorders, but something that I think is very important also to share with you guys. How do you lose weight? To lose weight, you need to be in something that is called a calorie deficit. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. Maybe if some of you guys are active on TikTok and follow all these health people, they always, use this word calorie deficit. But what does it actually mean? It means that the amount... Okay, your body needs a specific amount of energy. Okay, to do the basic activities that I said earlier. Everybody has that basic amount of energy that they need, and it's different lah for each person depending on your genetics, depending on your height, weight, and so on. So let's say, for example, for me, my basic requirement every day is to eat around 1,600 calories. And I want to lose weight. Let's say my weight is overweight, I want to lose weight. So I need to be in a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit means that I'm eating slight bit lesser than the 1,600. And when I say slight bit lesser, it's not like I go and eat 1,000 calories. No, I eat maybe 1,400 or 1,300. So it's a small deficit there. So the small deficit there, what it does is that your body doesn't go into panic mode because it's not sudden no more energy. It's just a small deficit there that it has to look somewhere else to, So with that, what it does is that you will start to see your weight loss, and it will be consistent. It will be not much. You won't lose like 5 kilos a week. You will lose 0.5 to 1 kilo per week, depending on the deficit that you're doing and so on. And you will lose that consistently. And it's something that's sustainable and you don't feel like you're cutting out too much. But with people that do any of these diets that are restricting, so for example, a water fast, let's say my body requirement is 1,500. With a water fast, I am only eating 300. So I am putting my body under 1,200 calorie deficit. So my body's panic mode, what does it do? Remember I told you, sometimes it breaks your muscle, sometimes it breaks your fat, sometimes it does a whole bunch of things. So in that process, while it's breaking things down, it's making you lose weight. Yes, it's true. You will see a faster weight loss, but it may not necessarily be a good weight loss. It may not be fat loss, first of all. Because with weight loss, you want to lose your fat. You don't want to lose your muscle because you need your muscle to do everything. You don't want to lose your water because you need your water to do your daily activities. So with that amount of calorie deficit there, you're actually inducing your weight loss in a negative way. Let's say it works lah. You dah lose and you dah reach your goal. And you go back to your diet and you makan balik 1,500, which is what your body needs. Tetapi, ingat tak I cakap your body ada routine and your body likes to adapt to things. What happens here is that when you are already putting it on 300 for such a long period of time, your body is going to convince itself that this is how much I need to survive. I don't need 1,500, I only need this much. So once you start eating even a little bit more than that, you're going to gain your weight way faster than you lost it. So if, let's say, your friend goes off this water fasting and she goes back to a diet that's normal lah, for example, she eats rice and so on, what happens here is that she will gain back that weight. It's very, I would say it's very likely, but I'm almost 100% sure because with all my clients, that's what they have seen. They have gone on a diet, seen a sudden weight loss from 90 kilos to 70 kilos, and then they gain back the weight and reached 100 kilos, and then they were confused. Macam mana nak lose weight ni? I want to diet, tapi it's not working. So with a healthy weight loss, what you're trying to do is you want to go back towards eating healthily, having the healthy practices and putting only a small restriction there. Something that you tak perasan pun. Mungkin I kurangkan nasi you daripada 4 senduk jadi 3 senduk. Ataupun I kurangkan you punya buah daripada 4 biji buah sehari ke 3 biji buah sehari. I do those small changes, but you will see a consistent weight loss. And a weight loss that once you go back to eating normally or something like that afterwards, you won't gain your weight back. It's a permanent weight loss. So this is a bit technical, so sorry if I went very depth, but I hope this kind of helps you understand with water fasting. So if it were in a simple context, water fasting works in a short period of time. It doesn't work in a long period of time. And once you go off your water fasting, you will gain back that weight either almost instantaneously or at one point you will go above your previous weight as well. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions?
Nak tanya.
Yeah.
Saya nak tanya, futsal malam tu sihat tak sebenarnya? Basically dia okay tak?
Futsal, maksudnya aktiviti futsal tu lah kan?
Ya betul. Tak kisahlah futsal ke badminton ke.
Maksudnya activities lah at night.
Yeah. Yes.
In general, activities tak kisah pun waktu. Obviously janganlah bangun tidur tiba-tiba pergi exercise pergi balik tidur kan. But what I mean is that at any point of time, activity is encouraged. If possible, untuk setiap orang, kita patutnya dalam seminggu ada 150 minit exercise, which is around 30 minutes per day for 5 days a week. So, berapa orang kat sini yang buat tu? Ada tak?
Saya selalu lah, seminggu 3 kali futsal malam.
So, it's good. Sebab kalau boleh kita nak 150 tu is basic, just to maintain healthy. Tapi kalau boleh, kalau betul-betul kita nak sihat, kita try to encourage for 220 minutes to 260 minutes per week. Jadi to answer your question, futsal waktu malam okay, waktu pagi okay, waktu tengah hari okay, asalkan you're not under a hot place or anything and you're hydrated enough and you're eating enough, then please continue. It's a very good activity. Kan ada soalan lain towards futsal tu? Ada
question at the chat box from Ms. Sabrina. How to maintain body weight after do a diet?
Okay. So if you go on a diet that is a healthy eating pattern based diet, so that means personally I would suggest that you consult a dietitian or nutritionist. That way they can at least, even if you do one consultation with them, there are so many places that do it for free as well. They can help you calculate how much you're supposed to eat and tell you whether you're eating enough, whether you're not eating enough. So just so that you get that enough knowledge there. So after you've gone on that type of diet, then to maintain your weight after that is you would still have to be able to understand, this is, you would have to be able to understand how much your body needs after you've lost weight. So for example, sebelum ni you makan dalam deficit sebab you nak kurangkan berat badan kan? After you dah lose weight, you're going back to your normal calories that your body needs. Tetapi the normal calories that your body needs is dependent on your new weight, dependent on your new activity and your new lifestyle. Sebelum ni, before your diet ni, you didn't do any exercise, your weight was maybe 85 kilos. After you've gone on a healthy eating pattern, your new diet may consist of that your weight is much lower. So your calories memang akan berkurangan sikit. So the idea here is that what I'm trying to tell you is that to maintain your weight, you need to understand how much you're supposed to eat after. So it depends on your weight and so on. So there's a lot of calorie counters online. But there's a specific way to do it. If I were to teach you, it'd be very difficult for me to do it because it's a 2-hour class. But if you want to, you could always PM me on the side or DM me and we could chat about it more. Okay, I see a lot of questions here. Is the sweet potatoes can lose the weight and how long the process? Okay, daripada Putri Nur Fatihah. Okay, sweet potatoes versus normal potatoes. Apa perbezaan dia? Perbezaan dia adalah, the difference is that one has more types of nutrients. So for example, maybe with normal potatoes, they only have a little bit of vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, and vitamin D. But with sweet potatoes, you have a little bit more fiber, you have a little bit more vitamins, you have a little bit more minerals, which makes it healthier. But when you compare sweet potatoes and normal potatoes, they actually have the same effect on your body. So that means dia tak ada yang macam if you go on a sweet potato diet, then it is going to make you lose weight. No, it still matters on how much of sweet potato you take and how frequent you take it. Okay, I hope I answered your question. If not, please do unmute and let me know what exactly you meant by the question as well. Okay, I'm going to assume that I answered the question. Alright, so the next question is, it is good when we take the vitamin to lose weight like HKT. HKT ni apa ya? Short form tak apa ni? Oh, Herbalife. Bukan? HKT apa?
Dia HKT like macam air, water dia campur dengan orange, like pill, like that. Slim.
Okay.
To slim the body.
HKT, Shakely, or so on. Okay, so this is a very popular question as well. A lot of the slimming teas or slimming drinks what they do to you may not necessarily be helping you lose your fat in the body. They may actually make you lose your water weight. So you see, kadang-kadang bila kita tengok kita punya weight loss ni a lot of my clients, they are very concerned about the number on the scale. They're not concerned about maybe before that they did blood tests and blood tests that improve ataupun diorang punya baju daripada size XL atau dari size M. They are more concerned about the number on the scale. So the idea here is that with people that are taking these slimming teas, you are not necessarily losing fat, you are losing water weight, or sometimes it makes you poop more frequently, so you're losing feces weight rather than actually losing your body weight. You may lose some body weight because with the water intake making you feeling fuller longer, so you may eat less, but it goes back to the idea that if you want to lose weight, you still have to be in that calorie deficit. So if you are taking these slimming teas and you are losing weight, it may not necessarily be the healthiest form of weight loss. It may be just water weight loss. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Miss.
Welcome. Okay, I have 2 questions to ask. Which, is it okay if I change my meal from nasi to potatoes? Is it okay if I took around 800 to 1,000 calories for a day because I just stay at home as long as I full in a day? Okay. So first question is, change from nasi to potatoes. Okay. I have to find a way to not be too technical in answering this. Okay. So the idea here is that if you want to eat nasi or you want to eat potatoes, it is fine because both of them are a form of carbohydrate. So whether you choose nasi, potatoes, roti, it doesn't matter because they are all a form of carbohydrates. Unless if this is a little bit more complex ya, tapi one slice of bread, calories dia lebih kurang, carbohydrate dia punya portion size dia adalah lebih kurang dengan 1 fist size of a potato, whether it's sweet potato or normal potato lah. So if let's say normally you makan 2 slice of bread, but now that you tukarkan daripada roti kepada potato, you makan 3 ke 4 biji potato, then it defeats the purpose. Sebab you makan lebih kalori daripada sebelum ni. Jadi you won't be able to see a good weight loss there. Similarly, nasi pun 1 sendok nasi flat, which is around 50 grams of nasi, bersamaan dengan 1 fist size of potato. So if sebelum ni you makan 3 sendok nasi, and then sekarang ni potato you makan 4 biji potato, then you're eating more calories, then it still has no purpose that you're changing. But if it's because, for example, some of my clients ada yang dia memang suka makan potato, dia memang tak suka makan nasi. So you want to swap it out, feel free to. It's totally fine as long as you have that source of carbohydrate there to give you energy. Okay, so the next question is it okay if I took around 800 to 1,000 calories for a day? Personally, and actually by studies and what I have learned, is that for females, we try not to go below 1,200 calories. Because if you go down towards 800 to 1,000 calories, that's already what toddlers are supposed to eat, babies are supposed to eat. And you're a grown person. And when I talk about not doing activities, kan contohnya macam, I forgot his name just now, that yang main futsal tadi kan, his calories, not only because of his male, I'm not sure his weight or height, but because he also does activity, so his calories would be much higher, will probably be 2,000 plus. Just to maintain his weight will probably be 2,000 plus. Versus if he were to not do the activities, his calories would probably be 1,000 plus, maybe 1,700, 1,800. So similarly, even though you're at home and you're not doing a lot of activities, you're just staying at home, you still are doing basic things like breathing, you're still eating, you're still talking, you're still chatting. So the basic things are still happening. So we try not to go, even if you're on a diet with a dietitian, we've never gone below 1,200 for our clients. So the lowest that you should go is 1,200, because if you go way below that, your body will be in a starvation mode. So starvation mode ni may lead to a lot of different things in your body that I talked about earlier lah. So if possible, kita nak, kalau boleh, at least kalau you don't feel like eating a lot, try to eat 1,200 calories. And these two counting calories ni, different apps, different way of the way they're counting kan. But how I would say is that roughly just make sure that you have breakfast, lunch and dinner, 3 meals a day. And try to make sure that you are having around 300 to 400 calories per meal, which will make it around 1,200 calories per day. Okay, I hope I answered your question. If not, feel free to add on to your question. And then the last question is, do you have any suggestions for the person yang berat dia statik walaupun lifestyle kita dah ubah life kepada yang lebih sihat? Okay, so bila berat badan statik ni, ada banyak sebab yang boleh menyebabkan berat badan statik. It could be because the amount of calories that you think you dah kurangkan tu is not really, it's not really true. For example, if I were to use an example, maybe macam for example, you makan sebelum ni nasi dengan ayam, ikan, sayur ni semua yang you rasa besar. Lepas tu you tukarkan kepada, I don't know, protein shake ke, or you tukarkan kepada sandwiches ke, something like that. But if let's say ini pun 500 kalori, ini walaupun nampak kecil tapi kalori dia tak sama, jadi tu boleh jadi sebab yang you don't see any differences in your in your weight. Secondly, it also depends on the the regularity or the consistency that you're having in your meals. So for example, how able are you to actually create a routine so your body understands that this is a lifestyle change. Jadi sebelum ni, my lifestyle was very different. Now my lifestyle is a healthy. So you need to be able to create that routine so your body understands. Third is your body takes time. So macam kita tak boleh lah expect kita baru start diet seminggu ke 2 minggu ke, kita dah terus lose weight. It doesn't work as magic as that. Because body kita ni was created so beautifully. And the way it's created beautifully is that it has an ability to understand, things and try to adapt to things. So you have to give it time to adapt to the new schedule that you're giving it, or to the new dietary changes that you're making, or lifestyle changes that you're making. Either way, going back to the idea that so going back to the static weight loss, as a static weight, it could be due to numerous factors. You may think that you have gone on a healthier diet pattern, but you may not actually be doing that. You may not have enough consistency to creating that routine. And thirdly, it may just be time. So you need to be able to give your body enough time. So these are just 3 of the main factors that I commonly see. There is obviously a lot more when it comes to actually understanding why your body weight may be static. So this is why we do a further assessment and seeing what you're actually eating and counting calories and counting your body's requirement and so on. Okay, I hope I answered your question. If that, please say, if any of you are not clear about my answers, please do feel free to comment down below. Hi there, I would like to know if it is true there's a diet depends on our blood group. I saw in Google where there are a few different types of food suitable for gain or weight loss of blood each group. Okay, I would say that with this, it's a bit more difficult because with all of us, I'm sure for you guys as well, you guys are students and your lecturers and so on must be teaching you, and everything that has been taught to you are all evidence-based. So especially when it comes to science, it has to be that it has been proven that it can create such a change. Kalau macam korang, I'm not sure do you guys do thesis ke and stuff like that, but if you do that, you will see that kalau positif dia punya, you know, dia punya significant, dia punya impact tu, then that's how you know that it actually works. So when it comes to diet based on blood types, there is actually no conclusive evidence that says that diet based on blood types is actually true. So it was something that was being studied, but so far tak ada study lagi yang dapat jumpa conclusive evidence that says yes, diet based on blood types is true, or diet based on blood types is important. Because at the end of the day, we are all trying to go back to the normal body punya reaction and body punya physiological ways of working and so on. The blood types here does not really make such a big difference. So it goes back to a healthy eating pattern, and a diet based on your blood group is not validated. I hope I answered your question.
Miss, can I ask a question about eating disorder?
Yeah, sure.
What could we do to help those people if they insist to consult for help?
If they insist to,
Meminta bantuan orang.
kalau diorang tak nak bantu orang ke kalau diorang nak?
Diorang ada eating disorder tu, tapi diorang tak cari doktor ke apa
They don't want to seek for help. Okay. So first of all, I think it's so important that I put out here is that just because you see your friend trying on a new diet, or just because your friend's cutting out certain things, you know, maybe some things you can't necessarily straight away label that they have eating disorders. Okay, first I want to say that, so you don't go and suddenly you bagi tahu your friend you ada eating disorder, pergi jumpa, you know, and that's not going to be. It may be true, but it may not be pushing it towards the right direction. We don't want that. So if let's say it is a friend of yours that you see that it is concerning, ataupun you memang tahu dia cakap dengan you, dia jenis yang tak makan sebab dia nak ni, ataupun dia muntahkan balik makanan dia sebab ni, what you do first is that you need to be able to build a trust or rapport with them. They need to be able to trust you and know that they understand why you're doing a specific thing. So for example, mestilah kalau kawan you yang going through eating disorder, you mestilah macam, kesiannya kawan I, kenapa dia buat macam ni? Tapi kawan you tu mesti dia macam rasa dia tak faham apa I tengah go through, dia tak faham I kena bully, dia tak faham ni, dia tak faham tu. So before actually going in and trying to give all the solutions, go in and be a supporting person with them. Just be somebody that they can trust first. After that, then they would slowly open up to you. And after that, you could talk to them and see, like for example, say, you know, try to reason. You could also play a part. So this is where I said everybody plays a part. You could go back and talk to them and say macam, why are you doing this? Ada sebab ke, or is it not? Let's talk to this. I actually want to talk to you about this. You know, why don't you ask about this since you think this is not healthy? Is it really, you know, why don't you ask for this? Or maybe you want to lose weight kan? Boleh cakap orang ni. You can try to rephrase according to their concerns. So the idea here is that you don't want to be as though you nak bagi tahu dia orang, oh kau ada eating disorder, kau patut jumpa doktor, kau patut buat ni, because that's not going to make them feel that they are in a safe space. You want to create a safe space for them, and you want to cultivate a supporting kind of nature there. So kalau boleh, if any of your friends you know that has eating disorder, you be there for them first. You support them first. And then you understand their reasons and make them, you know, make them know that you are there for them. After that, baru you introduce the idea of talking to someone else or seeking for better help accordingly. So don't go straight there. Try to actually soften the blow a bit.
Alright, thank you, Miss.
Miss nak tanya,
Yeah.
Macam kan ada setengah orang macam makan banyak pun tetap kurus kan. Kadang dia dah tak tahu kita ni makan, kadang tengah malam pun makan, kadang pedang nasi pun pukul 2-3 pagi. Macam mana?
Okay. So soalan dia tak clear tu, tapi I can explain lah. For example, why some people walaupun diorang makan banyak, they still don't lose weight and so on. So this goes back to their metabolism. Jadi bila, ingat tak I talked to you about how everybody's body's requirement is unique. It's not just based on your height and your weight. It's also based on your activity, how much activity you do. It is also based on your how do I say, is also based on your genetics. It's based on a lot of things, your stress factor. It could be numerous things that actually contribute to that. Jadi it could be that because you have a higher metabolism, your body punya requirement of energy memang tinggi. Jadi walaupun orang semua nampak macam you makan banyak gila, tapi sebenarnya you makan the amount that your body actually needs to maintain your weight, and you're not eating that much more pun because your metabolism works in such a way. Versus some people that their metabolism is much slower because genetically they are predisposed to that. So maybe they have to eat much lesser because genetically diorang punya badan adalah tak seberapa sesuai untuk makan sebanyak tu. So there's a lot of different components when it comes to counting calories and counting how much you're supposed to eat. So that's why I said kalau boleh, kalau you guys want to go on a diet ke, or you guys want to try something new when it comes to eating pattern, always consult a dietitian or nutritionist. And I believe there's so many in Malaysia right now that are doing a lot of freelance or even free consultations. So talk to them and understand better because it's very difficult for you to decide berapa banyak yang you patut makan. You have to be able to account for a lot of things. I hope I answered your question. Did I answer your question? Because that was not really a question.
Okay.
Any other?
I have one question. Okay. Bagus ke kalau kita makan like pill? Dia ada jual dekat pharmacies nama Arselene, tak silap I, ASLENE. So that benda ubat tu kan akan buang semua, bukanlah semua minyak-minyak yang kita makan tu kan. Is it good for our diet? Sebab kita dah lah makan pun sikit kan. And then kita makan lagi ubat tu. Is it okay?
Okay. So Arselene ni is actually a type of medication that doctors usually prescribe or pharmacists usually prescribe for people that are overweight and their BMI is above a certain amount. Just to sometimes, first of all, with some people, diorang cuba sedaya upaya and they lose motivation. So doctors give this medication to help them just boost the first few months. And then after that, doctor akan stopkan and to continue with healthy dietary lifestyle and so on. So when it comes to actually starting on Arselene, usually is always the last resort. Sebab medication is not really the best way to do things. Sebab kita tengah ubahkan macam mana badan kita hadamkan makanan. Kita tengah ubahkan how our body generally works. We're changing how it was created. And sometimes it may not lead to an effect. Sometimes it may. Which is why doctors always try to push you towards, making the diet change or the lifestyle change before giving you medication. Sebab kalau dah mula ubat, you don't know how long you have to be on the ubat or what are the side effects of the ubat. So in terms of whether it is good to actually take this Arselene or not, if it is prescribed to you, then I believe then it should be suitable for you lah. Unless if you sendiri pergi pharmacy and you order Arselene, then please don't do that. Sebab it may not be, it may not be the best weight loss method that you want to see. With Arselene ni dia bantu dalam makanan yang berlemak. So contohnya kalau you memang jenis makan makanan yang tak berlemak sangat pun, you won't see a lot of the impacts with this Arselene ni. Satu lagi adalah sometimes after a few months on this Arselene, it doesn't have that same effect anymore of, dia akan keluarkan najis tu akan jadi minyak. Because they're removing your oil from your, they're preventing the digestion of the minyak, the digestion of the fat. So that jadi dalam najis tu akan ada the oil lah yang you makan. Jadi Arselene ni can only be a temporary fix but not a lifelong fix. So in terms of actually whether it is good, it's not particularly bad, but it is not the best thing. So preferably still buat yang diet and lifestyle first. If really no result, then you start Arselene. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you.
Nak tanya, kalau kan sayur dengan buah kan penting sebab bagi vitamin kan. Kalau orang yang tak boleh makan langsung buah dengan sayur tu, kena ambil suplemen ke macam mana?
Tak boleh makan langsung
setengah.
tu sebab tak suka ke?
Tak suka.
Tak suka. Okay.
Ah.
Buah pun sedihnya. Tak suka sayur, I understand, but tak suka buah sedihnya. But it's
Sebab
okay.
ada spesies yang tak suka buah dan sayur.
Betul. Ada je yang tak suka buah dan sayur. Sometimes I still force them to eat the sayur and buah, but I don't force them. Macam for example, actually kalau you tak makan sayur dan buah ni, kadang-kadang there's a psychological factor behind it. It could be because you don't like the taste of certain food, or you don't like the smell. Ada banyak kan, kita ada 5 dera rasa kan. Jadi kita boleh tengok apa sebab dia tak suka. Kadang-kadang colour hijau tu dia tak suka. Jadi dia tak suka sayur yang warna hijau. Tapi bila dia makan sayur yang warna lain, dia okey je. Sometimes dia tak suka cara sayur tu dimasak. So first, I would still go through all the strategies possible to still kalau boleh suruh dia makan buah dan sayur. Tetapi kalau dia memang langsung tak suka buah, langsung tak suka sayur dan tak ada harapan, sometimes what I do is I give other options of maybe they have to be supplemented, maybe they have to take other forms of fiber, because dengan supplement ni kan, supplement is kalau kita makan buah, badan kita punya absorption rate of the buah tu kan macam nutrien-nutrien dalam buah tu berbeza versus kalau kita makan vitamin ataupun pill or something like that. Because absorption dia berbeza sebab dia bukan dalam natural form. Natural form is your fruits lah kan. And if you were to make fruits, for example, if you take orange and you take orange dalam bentuk peel, memang impact dia sangat berbeza. Jadi what I try to do is that I would try to cater, if possible, diorang still masukkan sayur. Kalau I kena sorokkan sayur tu dalam makanan dia nampak, I sorokkan. Sambal, for example, I try to kan guna cili giling sambal if you guys cook. Then I tell them to dalam cili giling tu masukkan 1 biji ke 2 biji tomato, blend sekali. You tak akan perasan pun ada tomato, tak akan ada perbezaan pun dalam rasa sambal you. Sometimes I say you could add it in your juice. Sometimes I say you can cut it small dan tumiskan dan tak nampak kan ke. There's a lot of different ways lah kan to go around it. But if really tak ada possible way, then I would go towards giving them supplements lah. But that too will be specific types of supplements. Okay tak? Jawab tak?
Thank you, Miss.
Ya. So far tak ada lagi lah klien I. Maksudnya ada yang ramai yang tak suka sayur dan buah-buahan, tapi tak ada lagi yang I had to resort towards giving them pills or supplements or anything. So far all of them I have been able to convince them one way or another to try a specific type of sayur or to hide it somewhere in their meals. Because once you start dengan rasa sayur tu, you dah familiarize kan dengan your pattern macam dalam your palate, then lama-lama you would actually be able to understand, like your body already understands, oh sayur tak adalah tak sedap. And then you will be able to build that taste profile. So it's just about introducing it the right way. Okay, anybody? Tadi ada seorang raise hand.
Thank you.
Welcome.
If there is any other question, you can ask. There is still time to ask.
Yes, there's still time to ask. Please don't be shy. I'm giving all these advices for free. Biasanya before this, we charge for all of this.
Hai, nak tanya.
Ya.
Okay, kita kalau bangun macam pukul 6, pukul 7, kalau kita nak ambil makan berat macam mi goreng semua memang tak boleh. Betul tak? Sebab takut perut jadi bloated ke, ataupun dia depend pada orang lah. What is the replacement food yang okay lah untuk kita makan macam kudak-kudak pagi-pagi tu, supaya nanti dalam pukul 8, pukul 9 kita tak terasa kosong sangat perut.
Good question. So usually what I do is that how I spread out meals for my clients is that I akan bagi diorang breakfast, snack 1 which is morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner. Sometimes ada yang ada supper jugalah, jadi 6 kali sehari tu diorang makan. Ada yang memang busy sangat jadi diorang makan 3 kali. Jadi depending on how you know, like depending on whether you have a tendency for craving ke, or you rasa macam nak mengunyah ke, something like that, I will plan your diet. In terms of breakfast tu tak boleh nak makan heavy sangat, it's actually not true. You can eat a heavy breakfast, but it's not like heavy macam, when I talk about heavy, it is still in the idea of the balance, moderate and variety there. Jadi maksudnya you still have to follow the suku-suku spiral plate model. So if you were to have, let's say, mi goreng, I will use your example. Mi goreng tadi kata tak boleh makan kan? I boleh jadikan mi goreng tu boleh makan. Okay, First, mi goreng may not be the best, I agree. Sebab mi goreng digoreng, and usually kalau you beli dekat luar, banyak minyak orang guna. So if it's a mi goreng that is at home, maybe there is less oil, so that may be fine. First. Second, let's say if you were to take the mi goreng, what I would suggest is to have around 3 sendok mi goreng tu tau. You letak, and then you ada sayur. Sayur tu bukan macam satu salad yang, you know, biasanya sayur tu, if I do consultations with my client, how I explain is, satu cawan kan, satu cawan sayur, kalau tak masak, dia kena satu cawan sayur penuh. Kalau sayur tu dah masak, separuh cawan. Okay, so mi goreng dengan sayur, dengan add on if you rajin nak masak ayam pagi tu ke, if not telur pun okay, telur rebus ke ataupun telur goreng ke or something like that. So the idea here is that it still goes back to boleh je makan pagi tu mi goreng ke, mi hun ke. Nasi lemak is probably not the best option just because everything on there is lemak. But sekali-sekala nak makan nasi lemak pun okay je. Tapi the idea here is that if you were to have some options, satu is you can just create your meal and make it look better. Just add on things instead of removing things. This is what I started with. We try not to remove things from your diet. We try to add on things. Tambah sayur, tambah telur. Jadi your mi goreng is complete. Jadi you akan rasa kenyang sampai lunchtime. Jadi you tak perlu morning snack pun. You makan lunch terus. Ataupun let's say if you don't want that, you rasa macam mi goreng tak sihat lah, tak nak. Okay, fine. You can make a sandwich. You can make roti, tuna, sayur, salad tu, macam tomato, cucumber, lettuce, and then tutup dengan satu lagi roti and then makan. If not tuna, it could be egg. If not that, it could be oats. Oats pun, a lot of people do it with rolled oats because rolled oats is, you know, it's actually much more fiber if I'm not mistaken. And rolled oats tapi kena buat malam sebelum. So for me, it doesn't fit with my schedule because I'm very busy. So what I do is I buy instant oats. Dia bukan instant oats yang flavor tu tak macam Nestum. This is just the ones that are already cut into very easy punya. You guys know, right? Quaker oats ada instant, quick, and rolled. So I buy the instant or the quick one. I put it in a cup. I pour milk, which is my protein, and then I put in fruits on top. Jadi it's a complete meal. So I have any of those. Asalkan the idea here that I'm trying to put out is that apa-apa yang you nak makan, kalau boleh kita nak dia complete. Dia ada carbohydrate, dia ada protein dan dia ada vegetable ataupun fruit. Because that will keep you feeling full from, let's say you makan pukul 7 ke pukul 8 sampai pukul 1. Terjawab tak soalan you? Ke you rasa nak lagi option? Boleh je, banyak option. Tapi terjawab tak soalannya?
Terjawab.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, welcome.
If there is no other question, I would like to inform that we have reached the end of our talk. I could conclude that food is important to our body and we have to know how to keep a healthy body by understanding nutrition and our meal to function to our body. Thank you so much, Ms. Sharifah, for spending your valuable time with us and sharing knowledge with us till we meet again. Thank you so much. For the next session, I would like to call MC Anis Amira to handle it, please.
Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you to our speaker, Ms. Sharifah Hassan, and also Ms. Ain Zahim as our moderator for sharing some information about eating disorder. So for our next session, we would like to invite all of you to play quiz, and also Ms. Sharifah also can play the quiz. Okay, the link will be given at the chat box. There will be 3 prizes for 3 winners. Sharifah, can you please the link? Sekejap Okay, so Naziha has been placed the quiz form. So you can enter the form already. No, this one, sorry. This one is, I don't, this one is exit survey, I think. So Afifah, Atira has been placed the quizzes. So very kejap kod email. So Tira bagi kod baru kejap Okay, so the code is 6260 and 49. Soalan tak susah senang je. Ada 10 soalan, so hopefully boleh jawab semua dengan betul. Nanti boleh redeem, boleh ni siapa menang satu liga tu. Minit lagi kita tunggu. Okay. I pun rasa 909. I think dah boleh mula kot. Ain, boleh tekan start? Okay. So rasa semua dah jawab dah kot. Kita dah boleh end our quizzes dah kot. Ain boleh end please? Tak boleh senang je kan? Tak susah pun. So the first winner is Syafiq, second Aiman Nur Afrina, and the third one is Mukri. So now we are at the end of our workshop. Please feel free to fill up the exit survey at the link in the chat box. Before we end this session, there will be a group photo. Please turn on your camera.
Amira, please unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Sorry.
Amira mute tadi.
Maafkan saya tak perasan. Saya sekali lagi lah ambil gambar. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, dah. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Miss Sharifah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you Miss Sharifah.
Thank you, Miss Sharifah.
So you may leave this session now, but don't forget to fill up the exit survey. Till we meet again. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Hello everyone. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, madam.
Can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I want to say congratulations. So the event went so well. So Miss Sharifah already left, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we can end the session. So good job to all of you.
Thank you.
Maybe we can see again in the next class. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
See you all.
Bye.
Mm.